Everybody, so I got my starter. Ordered a second starter from my local parts store and my local Honda dealer, basically. And I got it fairly quickly, 2 weeks. But I ordered all my other stuff through Rocky Mountain, and that was probably a mistake. You know, nothing against them, but with all the COVID stuff going on, it's just been too much. So, been a month and a half and really haven't heard much of anything from Rocky Mountain. So, basically, the gear that the starter drives, that thing is no bueno. It is messed up. So, I figure I might as well go ahead and tear this thing down, and figure out 100% everything I'm going to need, and stop guessing. So that's what I'm doing right now. And this is my first time tearing this down, so I'm not too familiar with these. I need to take that skid plate off. Alright guys, so I got the clutch cover ready to pop off. Water pump cover's loose. Should be able to lift it up out of the way, and pop it right out of there. I guess it's a reusable gasket. Looks like I got 2 extras. Make sure that water pump ain't gonna go nowhere. I'll turn this over. It's belly. Just take it like that for now. So this is what we got. I don't have any lights out here. I do have flashlights, but here's what we're working with. We've got this gear that I do have on order, and this gear that I do have on order, even though it might not be messed up. I hope y'all can see all this. But starter, intermediate gear, and this is the other gear, and then that gear runs it down to the crank, and it's a whole bunch of stuff. But there is quite a bit of play. I do gotta look at the back side of the clutch cover, because this is what I was worried about. I was worried about being that there's no pilot for this starter. You can see the starter's all chewed up there. I hope you can see it. The bushing that this gear rides on, or this bushing here, or that bushing there, any play in any of those, and it's gonna mess with the backlash of this gear to this gear, and it'll allow the starter to chew itself up the way it has. Now, like I said, this thing's got a pretty harsh kickback when it stalls, but bear with me. I'm just looking around for metal shavings and whatnot, because I'm a bit worried about that. Because when I drained the oil, I did not see an awful lot of metal. It was very tiny bits of metal. So, but it looks like a composite gear that you're looking at right there. I don't know what it is. Not too familiar with these newer 450s. I have an older 450R 2006 four-wheeler, but I really haven't had any troubles out of that. It's funny, it had a one-way clutch starter gear recall the first month I had it, and also the lower control arms. But outside of that, it's never given me any trouble. And that is the old starter in there. I did receive a new starter, as I said earlier, but it is not the one that I ordered from Rocky Mountain, which I ordered these gears and the shafts also. Unfortunately, if I had those, we would be pulling this clutch cover off and replacing those gears and putting a new starter in. But unfortunately I don't have them. The oil was pretty clean. I don't know if the guy actually ever changed it, but it did have some writing on the bottom, so you're seeing it better than I for the first time right now. But I don't know if it's been changed or not. I was in a bit of a hurry when I bought the bike from the gentleman, and didn't get to ask too many questions. And it's unfortunate that this happened. I hope this doesn't happen to a lot of people, because, you know, I love my Hondas. I've had a lot of Hondas. My first anything, my dad built me a go-kart. It had a little Honda 5 horsepower when I was a little kid, and I mean, it was a rough go-kart, but you know, it meant the world to me because, you know, it was just a red, you know, go-kart. Looked like it had Pee Wee 80 wheels on it. He just kind of threw it together with stuff he found at the junkyard or whatever. But that was a little Honda 5 horsepower, and then my second Honda was a Trail 70, 1970 Trail 70. I beat that around in my early teen years, even though I was riding my dad's 250s and all that stuff, but it was my personal bike that I could ride when everybody else was riding. And when I want to say I was like 14, I bought a 1986 CR125 from my buddy Mikey, and shout out Taters. So he actually bought it from his buddy Jimmy. He sold it to our buddy Jimmy, and I bought it from that guy. But long story short, it's the first bike I ever rebuilt, put a top end in it, you know, did a whole bunch of work, had the frame powder coated, new plastics, you know, all the good stuff. And then it got stolen, and they destroyed it. So that bike, I ended up, after that it was so bad, I traded it at the local bike shop for a real piece of junk. It was a 93 RM125, and ended up doing a whole bunch of work to that, brand new cylinder, piston, blah blah blah. And we're talking a kid here. I was basically making my money cutting grass and carrying groceries and whatever else I could to make a couple dollars. So it was like, I ended up getting it all together. They lost the carburetor, they lost this. It was a basket case of a bike. By the time I got it running, I lost interest in it, and the power band never seemed to work right. The jetting was never right, because I don't even know what the carburetor they got me for the bike was, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I ended up getting a badass CR80 Expert for like 5 or 6 years later, when I was like 23 or 24, and I rode that thing around for quite some time. Had some fun with it. But I've had, you know, 3 CR250s, actually 4. One of them was a parts bike, but I shouldn't count that. I got my 450R 4-wheeler, got the trusty old CRF450L. My dad had a ATC 185, kind of like the Big Red, but wasn't as fancy as the 200 ESs and all them bikes. We had a blast on it. It like killed me when I was like 10. But so, you know, here I am blabbering about all the Hondas I've had, and they were mostly all beaters, but they all did me good for the most part, except for the ones that got stolen. And now we get to this, and I'm hoping once I get it fixed, you know, it does me right. You know, I watch all you guys out there, you know, John T. Young and Berm Cannon, Dad's Domain, you know, and I enjoy your videos and everything, and I hope that I can make some decent content with this bike. I love the 250L. It's just heavy, and there are certain things that I want to do, and I hope I don't find out I'm getting too old to do. I just got to be careful, you know. But it'll be fun. I think once we get this thing fixed up, everything will be great. So far, it just looks like this one primary gear is damaged slightly. I got kind of close up to it, but there's oil in between the gear teeth. But you can see that gear is slightly chewed up, and I I really don't want a chance just throwing that new starter in there and tearing it up. I mean, it'd be one thing if I could turn that gear around, but I don't even think it's worth all that. And actually, you cannot turn that gear around because it looks like it's countersunk. But you know, I'm obviously dying to ride this thing, but it's looking like I'm probably gonna have to at least order that one gear. The secondary gear doesn't look like it has any damage, but I really need to fix this right the first time. I don't want to take any chances. I imagine this is probably a full assembly, you know, $3,000 engine, somewhere around there, and I don't want to be piecing one together with 450 miles on it. I really don't. So, but hopefully I can get all the metal to the bottom. I'm going to do a couple oil changes, you know, just put it around the yard and just keep doing heat cycling it and draining the oil. Probably gonna put, I got some neodymium magnets, and if this will accept, I'm gonna put 2 of them on here and try and catch as much of the metal as I possibly can. So, but I really want to get this thing together. I was hoping to take it to Trevorton this weekend and climb some coal hills with the rally, and then surprise you guys climbing some hills on this, but it's not looking like it's gonna happen. I don't want to chance it. Plus, you know, I just paid $361 plus tax for the new starter, and I have 2 starters on the way. I mean, I have one coming from Rocky Mountain and one that I've already received from Pete's, and I don't want to trash it, really, to be honest. But that's probably gonna be it for now. I'm gonna get to looking at this, and if I find anything else, I'll be sure to let you guys know what I find. See ya.